fight that's coming up, because I was young once too. And nature is smarter than people think. Little by little, we lose our friends, we lose everything. We keep losing and losing till we say, you know, what the hell am I living around here for? I got no reason to go on.
I am confused. Confusion is a part of life. As I mentioned, fear and none, all facets must be embraced. For then, and only then, will you break through the wall of mystery to the glow.
Yeah. Welcome to the 12 Rounds podcast. We got my boy Joey Bravo in here, and of course, Aaliyah Marie. I'm sipping tea.
Yo, my mother told me I wasn't born with much of a brain, so use your body.
You know what you're saying?
You know, Apollo, I won't fight you.
I might not be a good fighter. I might not be smart and all that, but I'm a good fighter.
Hey, Apollo told me, he won't fight me again. I'm going to fight Apollo. I won't fight you.
Fight Apollo. Hey, man, it's good to have you guys on the first episode of the 12 Rounds podcast.
It's an honor.
It's an honor.
I know.
Honor.
I was we had you on one of our podcast episodes for Sipping Tea with Joey and Marie, and one of the things that I was so excited for is to see this play out and to see you come, put all your resources together with my man Christian and create something that we're doing right now, and I'm just it's surreal, bro. I love this.
How the tables have turned.
The tables have turned. Now we're not the ones hosting.
This is the flip side. How does it feel to be on that side of the fence, buddy?
I'm scared.
Hey,
really
now
scared.
I ask the questions,
Yeah.
huh?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm ready to go the full 12 rounds, no,
Well, I had a burrito earlier, so you might only get 6 out of me. Then it's break time.
all right.
But yeah, man. So welcome to the podcast. We want to hear your story, Joey Bravo, and of course of how everything came to be. There's a lot of things that you went through to get to where you are now, and we want to share that with everybody. Get to know who really Joey Bravo is. I know you've talked a lot about some of the stuff that from your childhood with other guests on your podcast, but I feel like it's going to be a different story now that I get to ask the question.
Look at me, I'm the captain now.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm the captain now. Look at me.
You know what I'm saying? I even took notes and everything.
Notes.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
So do you want me to start from the giddy up, or what do you want?
Like fresh out the womb.
I-
Just kidding.
You want me to give you a summary?
Well, it's funny. It's because we always talk about how we met, but it's always your perspective, bro.
Oh, wow.
And, to me, I was like, man, who's this dude following me around everywhere? You know what I'm saying? He's on my MySpace, leaving comments.
It's because he had that song, This One's For My Gente.
Like,
and I was like, who's this guy trying to steal my
yeah, I
thunder?
followed you around.
See?
Because I thought you was somebody.
Like a
Damn.
like a dog.
But, yeah, no, man, it was a cool deal, man, about how we met. And I remember freaking doing the shows out there in Twin Falls, and I would always see you there, and it was, man, we were just like kindred spirits, dude. Freaking, we would always hang out at the bar before and after the show, kick back, and one of the biggest things I remember was tripping out about how I found out when you were Joey Bravo, dude.
Yeah, that was crazy because I thought you knew. I thought everybody knew, right?
No,
obviously, I did.
Well, I was listening to listening to the thing, right? Like I remember listening.
But everybody, you know my real name. You know what I mean? So hey, calm down. We're not gonna tell you my real name.
Pedro de Pacas.
Pedro de Pacas.
Yep. Secret's out now.
Quintanilla the third, Fernandez. But so you knew me as as what my real name is, and our families have always been interconnected. And so when we met, it was like, honestly, I used to hang out with your uncle, and you and your uncle have very similar personalities.
Oh.
So it was like, I already knew you, man. Like, I already knew the person you were, the style of person, because we have very similar, personalities, so we mesh really well, which is crazy because my lady's also a Gemini, and you guys are really close to the same, the same birthday. And
Same 4 people.
yeah, same 4 people. Yeah. But I mean, I got along with you right off the bat, man. So when we found out, when I told you about the radio thing, I just kind of I was so like consumed with all the theatrics and everything that was going along with this contest, and that I just kind of assumed all my raza knew, right? All my people, because everybody who knew us from before and everything was out there supporting and stuff. But obviously we were in Twin Falls and you guys were in here in Boise, and so. That radio station in particular went all the way to like American Falls, and it went all the way to Ontario, Oregon.
Yeah, you guys had a big. Yeah. It was a big area that you guys covered. I was actually talking about it the other day, man. Like
it used to be huge. Yeah, it used to be huge, and so that's what was cool about it, because even back then when I started, there wasn't as much raza as there is now. Yeah. And so all of us gravitate to each other, right? And so when people heard it, they're like, what, this dude's a Chicano, you know? And people were tripping out. And then when they saw me, they're like, dang, that's the dude. Like, and you know, and that back in those days, you know, it was always, I had the goatee, long goatee. Yeah. I look like a cholo, you know?
It's still to this day, though. Like, when
I
anyone,
like a cholo, but I look like a happy cholo.
But like when anyone thinks of you and they see you in person, like the amount of things that people thought you would look like always blew my mind.
They always assumed that I looked like Johnny Bravo. It's like, bro, that's Johnny Bravo.
Taller.
I thought you'd be taller.
Yeah, I thought you'd be taller. I actually get told that too, because I have like weekly meetings with the radio company that I'm part of, and they always, a lot of them have never met me physically. So when I've seen them physically, they're like, man, I thought you were a lot bigger, you know? Because obviously in camera it looks like I'm big, because you guys are probably looking at me going, look at them guns. They're not that big.
More thick than anything else.
More thick. My daughter's coming out.
Damn, boy, you thick, boy. You thick, boy.
I'm all sad now. But no, so it was a trip. So when we were talking, because we met each other through music, right? And I remember telling the story about meeting you and your brother, is that I think it was a show with Mr. Shadow. I think it was at Fat Eddie's. And when we went there, you guys were performing, and I remember seeing you guys perform This Is From My Gente. And I had written a song like that, you know? And so that's why I really was in tune to what you guys were saying. I was like, this is really good. I'm glad I didn't put out my song, because their song was better than mine.
Well, it was Chip too, because I remember after we got done on stage, we were talking about that. And I was like, what have you been up to, man? You know? And you're like, yeah, I just been real busy with this radio thing, man. I was like, what radio thing? You're like, I've been on the radio. You're like, I'm Joey Bravo. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was crazy.
What the heck, dude? I was like, I didn't know. I was like, I've been listening to you, dude. Freaking. I didn't know that was you.
But you didn't like me. You told me you wanted me to lose.
Yeah, I wanted you to lose. Yeah.
But that's lucky for me. I went the 12 rounds. I went the distance.
Well, it's because, you know, the more haters you have, you know, so... You know, it's like reverse psychology.
What was good that you were my hater at the moment, because I was like, that's a lot of energy to propel me into move forward momentum. So, once we found out, it was like, oh snap! And as a matter of fact, we were chilling at Shadow's hotel room. There was a big party at his room.
It was like Los Marihuanos, Shadow, freaking Big PD, Little PD, Regular PD, Irregular PD, or the
miniature
PD.
size PD.
There's all the PDs, and Marie was there. Not this Marie, but another Marie. It was my uncle's brother's sister's Marie.
Marie without the E.
Yeah, without the E, Marie.
I think that was the first time I heard you rap too, man.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, because I didn't know that you rapped.
Yeah. Well, see, nobody knew that I rapped either, because I didn't. It wasn't connected, right? Because my rap moniker is Lyrical Sound Demon, so it has nothing to do with Joey Bravo, the personality. So when I created the radio personality, I wanted to be standalone type of thing, right? But the people that were backing me up, I was telling you that they were voting for me and stuff through this contest that was going, they all knew me through the lowrider circuit, right? Because we would do a lot of lowrider shows and a lot of Chicano type hip hop shows. And so I had so many people that knew me from that era that they were just like, dang, we need to get this guy on the radio. And then, I was my whole premise of my campaign, was that I was going to do reggaeton and some throwback hip hop and just make it a party night. And so it wasn't happening at the moment, Yeah. And so that's when we started doing like we would do funny phone calls. We would get like guests on the show. We would roast people, man. And I remember you were on an episode. It was you and the real Dante Thomas.
Yeah.
Guy. And remember, and there's actually a clip of that of us, this girl trying to talk to Dante. And she was like totally ignoring me, and I was getting so mad. I was like, "Girl, you're calling my house over here, and then you're freaking disrespecting me, and all you want to talk to this guy?"
Yeah,
and so and you're like, "Hey, don't hit Dante, stop hitting Dante."
Stop hitting Dante.
I love that, man.
That was old school, dude.
Yeah.
That was like 1966.
Since I tell you, it was back when we were boys and did little kills and stuff.
Well, speaking of being a youngin', man, I just wanted to get into, just kind of the life of like the difference between how you grew up, and because you're originally from California, right?
Yeah.
You grew up in California, and just I want to hear just a little bit of how it was growing up in California, and the differences, like seeing like how you grew up in California and then raising your kids here in Idaho. You know what I'm saying? Like what the difference and.
Well, there was a big difference. I tell Aaliyah these stories all the time. She's heard them many times. She's like, I already know this story, Dad. I know how it plays out. And
she's like, hold up.
hold up.
Watch this part. Watch this part.
He's going to say.
So I grew up this little chavalito in Southern California. No, for reals. Growing up in California, I was the first generation American. So my mom and my dad are from Mexico. Yeah, so we're Chicanos, right? And so growing up there, we grew up in poverty. So we honestly, even growing up until I was like 11, I didn't realize I was poor and like really living in like really terrible circumstances. Like, I mean, I didn't even have a bed when I was a kid. I'd sleep on a coffee table just so I wouldn't get like run over by the cockroaches at night, because there's cockroaches everywhere. I'd even sleep with shoes on because I didn't want to get off the coffee table to go to the bathroom and then be all
step on the cockroach.
crunching over cockroaches. And it really, you remember that movie, Joe's Apartment?
Yeah.
Like it was basically like that. It would just like, and then they just run, they scatter, right? So there were so many things like that. We were to the point that we were so poor that we didn't have any money for food. We had enough money to house us, so we weren't homeless. But we didn't have like food, like I would go to sleep hungry.
Like amenities.
Yeah, I'd go to sleep hungry all the time, man. Like I'd probably if I was lucky, I'd eat once a day. And so my father or my stepdad at the moment, he was a young guy, and he taught me how to hunt and stuff. So we would go hunting. We would go hunting for like cottontail rabbits, because that was the best one. It tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
And so, but he would say like, look, don't ever shoot a jackrabbit. And I was like, why? He's all, because jackrabbits are disgusting. They carry all these parasites and stuff. But if you kill a jackrabbit, I'm going to make you eat it, because you will remember never to shoot a jackrabbit. Yeah. And so
they're big, aren't they?
Yeah, they're big. They're huge, and they got these big giant buck teeth. It's like a Bugs Bunny,
Yeah.
No disrespect to Bugs Bunny, all right? I'm not trying to get canceled over here. But
so what's up, Doc?
Yeah, what's up, Doc? And so I ended up shooting a jackrabbit, and we had to boil the crap out of it, to make sure everything was cleaned out. And he goes, eat it, and it was gross. So then I made sure I was shooting bunny rabbits.
Cottontails.
And so then those would taste like chicken. But he says, hey, when we go out to hunt, we have to bring something back, because we're not going to eat if we don't bring anything back. Mm-hmm. So if we don't find any rabbits, we're going to have to shoot a pigeon. We're going to have to shoot a squirrel. We're going to have to shoot a badger, whatever. And it goes, and trust me, once you eat a squirrel, once you eat a pigeon, once you eat, a possum or whatever,
you're trying to get that rabbit.
You're always going to try to get that rabbit. And yeah, you know what? I ate all of those things, and we only got cottontail rabbits after that. But I want to tell you one story though. So this is one of the ones that we were at our worst. Okay, we couldn't afford bullets, we couldn't afford a fishing string, and obviously we couldn't afford a fishing pole. So we would put string around the can. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so like we couldn't even afford string. That's how nothing we had, and we were all starving. So my stepdad says, "Let's go to the river." And I said, "But we don't have any string." He goes, "Trust me, man. We're gonna figure this out."
Find some string.
He goes, "I'm gonna go in the river and I'm gonna throw fish out to you, and you guys just make sure you catch them." And I was like, "Bro, you ain't on Tarzan. What is this guy talking about?" So then we, my sister and I, Tia Josefina, and so we go out to the river, and sure enough, he's sitting there and he's like looking at, he's in the water and he's looking at the thing, and he was a goofball. He's like the joke all the time. So I thought, this guy's full of it, And so we're sitting there, and he goes, and he's saying in Espanol, listos cabrones, están listos? And I was like,
No se agüiten.
yeah, it's like, yeah, no se agüiten, ándale, ándale. And I was like, this guy, he's messing with us. So next thing you know is, boom, throws a freaking fish, hits me right in the chest. I was like, ah, it's all, flopping. I'm like, ah. He goes, agárralo, cabrón. And I was like, ah, screaming. And I was like, dude, what the? He goes, and it just goes back into the water. He goes, te dije que iba a tirarte un pescado. I was going to throw you a fish. And I was like, bro, I thought you were joking. He goes, no.
Hit you right in the numbers, too. Right?
We got it.
He's right there, freaking. He's like, boom, number 12 it is.
Yeah, so then he goes, look, seriously, I'm throwing fish at you. We're going to catch them. We're going to eat today. I said, all right. So next thing you know, he's like, boom, boom, boom. We ended up getting like 6 fish. We went home. We cooked them. We ate. And so the thing was that no matter what, we always would find a way. All right. There was times when we would fight over bean juice because we didn't have any food, to eat. Yeah. And so that's how rough it was living. Right. And so honestly, I didn't think any different till I was like 10, 11 is when I know. Oh yeah. It's a funny thing. Funny story. So my dad says, hey, I'm going to take you guys out to eat. He was excited because he got paid from, we were all picking oranges and stuff. He goes, I'm going to take you guys to eat. So he took us to this place called Burger King. Never heard of it, And I honestly hated it. Yeah, I never hated it. I didn't know because honestly, we didn't go into that side of the town where there was things.
Wasn't back then too? It was a Red Steer too, right?
Yeah. Well, it was good, right? Burger King was really good back then. So we went there. They had this little crown. He told pedo. So I was like, yeah, I'm all excited, So I'm like, yeah, this is dope. So I'm super excited to go back to school to tell my friends that I got to go to this restaurant called Burger King where they give you crowns, right? Yeah. And so hey, I don't know if you heard this story, but so then I get to school and I'm telling my boy David, I'm like, hey David, bro. He goes, what'd you do this weekend? He goes, I went here, this and this and that. He goes, what about you? He goes, and I was like, yeah, it's my time to shine.
Hold out the crown. Put the crown on top.
Up. Let me put this crown on. I tipped
Y'all ever heard of.
Tipped it to the side, King. Biggie style, And I was like, and then I was like, bro, look, man, my stepdad, he took us out. We went, freaking cruising, went over here, yada, yada, yada. And then we went to this freaking dope restaurant. They sell like these tasty, like flame broiled burgers, I think they're called. And then they give you a little crown and everything. And it's called like Burger King, bro. Yeah, that's up. And I'm like, in the B-boy stance when I'm done, right?
Done.
And then he's like, that's not a restaurant. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, that's called fast food, man. That's not a restaurant. You never been to a Burger King? I was like, yeah, I've been to a Burger King, man. I was messing with you. You know how I am. Bro, like a little piece of meat died inside because I was like.
That was your moment to shine, and then all of a sudden it was like.
Yeah. And, I was like, it's so tough crowd. Yeah. So it really got me. Then I was like, what's up with this? So I started kind of like I guess my eyes opened to what I was living through, right? Yeah. And then I was like, dang, this is rough. And really my whole life was like that. I moved down when I was 15 because my mom we would move like from place to place. I went to different schools every single year until I was in sophomore. So before that, it was like always something different. And I never got a chance to connect with people so much. So the way I'm like this, how I make funny voices and do this, it was my own theater of the mind to like friend myself, right? Yeah. And be a friend to me, right? And so like I didn't have nothing, man. So when I turned 15, my mom moved to Idaho. That's how it kind of.
So with the trip too is like when you're talking about California, like being from Idaho and like looking at California, like I don't think, you don't ever think there's hunting. You got to go hunt and stuff like that. Because over here we do, in Idaho, it's like that.
Yeah, it's a normal thing. You do
like you were saying over there, you guys did have to hunt. You guys did have to do. So even though you guys were inner city or whatever, you still would go out.
It was for survival, dude. And it was like, it was weird, So, at 15, my mom says, I'm moving to Idaho. And I was like, I told my sister, I'm not moving to Idaho. So she was 16, and then her then boyfriend, Ralph, he was 18. And so Ralph's like, hey, man, I'll get us an apartment. You guys don't have to move. I'm not, because he didn't want my sister to move either. He goes, I'll get us an apartment. And so he got us an apartment. So I was 15, 16, and he was 18. And so we were living on our own. Yeah. And so it went back to the same thing, like living off of nothing. So we had to we all worked at restaurants, so we would have. I was telling
King.
so
Burger
my sister worked at a top notch place like Carl's Jr. What's up?
Yeah.
It's-
Moving on up.
Carlos Segundo.
she worked at Carl's Jr. My brother-in-law Ralph, he worked at a grocery store, so he would get the bread that was old, And then my other cousin worked at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I worked at Sizzler. So I'd bring home a bunch of popcorn shrimp. My cousin would bring Kentucky Fried Chicken, and then my other cousin would bring Little Caesars, and so we'd bring the smorgasbord of food at the end of the night, and that's how we would eat.
I got to tell you a story about the scissor thing real quick, man, and then I didn't mean to interrupt, but it's funny.
Tell me.
It's funny because I used to live in Texas, and I would come back to Idaho every once in a while, and my little brother, and we were just like, we grew up the same, we didn't have a lot of money, but when I came from Texas, I would have a little extra cash that I would take the family to go to eat. And back in the day, Sizzler was the joint, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was the shrimp and steak. It was the steak and then all you can eat.
All you can eat
It was
shrimp.
a
Yeah.
little piece of steak like this, but you could get chingles of shrimp, right? And I remember my little brother, he had never eaten there before, dude. It was fancy to him, right? And the waitress, she goes, "How do you want your steak?" And he goes, "Cooked." And I'll never forget that, bro. Like, he didn't have
He's
any
like,
idea.
on a plate?
Can I get it with meat in there? I like my steak with meat. But, R.I.P. my little brother, man. It was funny. I would always crack up. And every time after that, we would ever have carne, dude, I would always tell him, "You want it cooked, bro?" Okay, so the smorgasbord thing, man.
Yeah, so the smorgasbord of food, right? And that's how we would kind of like survive, through my high school years or whatever. But I wanted to make sure I'd stayed there, because I was like, there's no way I'm gonna move again and make new friends. And I already had made a really close friend. Then shout out to my boy Izzy, and we just became really close. We were like brothers. So I was like, I'm not gonna do this again. I'm not going to move to Idaho and restart my whole life over all of this. And so we stayed. My sister graduated the following year, and she wanted me to come here to Idaho. And I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm going to graduate from this school. So honestly, when she left, I really screwed up. I wasn't going to school all the time. I was doing a lot of bad things. I had nobody to control me,
I think you can talk about them now. The statute of limitations.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? It was different, man. Not having anybody to any adult supervision. So my two main father figures was Ralph. Rest in peace, Ralph. He taught me how to be tough. Yeah. And he taught me how to be like a more braver, right? And kind of see humor in life situations and the hardships that we have. So I was like, yeah, dude, let's forget this. It doesn't matter, man. We're gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right. And my older cousin, he would teach me about like, look, you got to get your education. You got to figure out how to educate yourself. Even if you don't like high school, figure out a way to educate yourself so that way you can do something better for yourself. Because we weren't given anything. Nothing was given to us. We weren't even around our parents that much. I would say through my lifetime, I was around my mom 25% of the time. The 75% of the time we're always running solo, doing our thing, right? And so it was really rough to try to figure it out on your own. And then being a Latino, being a Hispanic, they look down on us anyways, and then especially in the era when I'm growing up, it's a lot different than now, right? And so it was really, there were so many things that were coming at you from different directions that you had to figure out, and you had to adapt, and you had to become the person you were going to be regardless. Yeah. So, speaking on the 12 rounds things, when we talk about that, it's like, that's it, man. That's it, to like fight and fight and fight. And no matter what, and when you get hit and when you get knocked down and when somebody punches you and says, you're done, man, you're like, no, I'm not done, because I'm going to keep going again. And I'm going to get up again. I'm going to do it. We lose people in our lives. We lose people that have given us so much and given us gems throughout our life. And it's rough, man. It's tough to feel that and to lose them, right? But it's like, you know what? I know that no matter what, they wouldn't want me to give up, And sometimes when we lose somebody, we feel that a part of us is gone, right? And yeah, it could be that. But also, we could also take them with us and keep moving with that forward momentum and that energy, right? And so because of that, I've always been this person that's resilient, right? And so even through starting through radio and stuff, I always wanted to show that to my daughter and my other children that, man, no matter what life gives you, we got to keep fighting, man, no matter what, you know. When we started, you know, we're talking about starting radio. I was the first Hispanic on English radio in the area. Like I was the first Mexicano, of Mexican descent. And so the thing is that there was a lot of racism still back in 2005, which is really weird, right? Yeah. It's not, I mean, it seems not a lot long ago, but it is a long ago.
It's been, it's probably something that we'll deal with for, I would say, another century.
Yeah, and it was really bad back then, though, I think, because I would get racist phone calls. I would get people calling me and telling me they were going to do this and do that. Bro, I'm from the streets of Cali, bro. Yeah. We've been in the boxing thing, and we know how to fight and carry ourselves and take care of stuff. So we're like, what's up, man? You want some pleito? Let's go. Meet me out here. I'm done at midnight. I would do that all the time. Meet me here. I'm done at midnight. Oh, whoa. Yeah. You're not going to say anything. Come here. Meet me at midnight. You know what? I'm over here anytime. You come see me. All right? And they wouldn't. Nobody would ever do that, right? But the thing was like, it was always somebody with a negative, everybody. You know, I even had at times family members telling me radio is not going to be anything for you other than a quick thing, you know? And here I am to this point. I mean, fast forward now, it's like I became, you know, I was a late night radio host. For those people that are listening to this and never heard this thing, I won a contest. That's all I did. I had no background in radio other than it being an MC and hosting, shows. I won a contest. Being the contest, I only was supposed to work for 3 months. And I was supposed to get $1,000 and a year's supply of Mountain Dew. That was my prize. But, God had other plans for me, man. So they gave me a job to be a late night show host for a bit, you know. And then from there, you know, I went from becoming the program director. Yeah. And then from there, from being the production director. And then from there being now the operations manager. And then now at this moment in time, I'm part owner of the company that hired me 17 years ago.
And I want to get back to that too, but I was listening to you talk about, having your kind of like your role models, your male role models teaching you, which way to go and stuff like that. And I wanted to get back to like when you decided to join the military and serve for this country, man. And I feel like not a lot of people know that about you. And you've told me some stories, dude, that cracked me up. So what led you to that decision, bro, joining the military?
Honestly, I've always been intrigued with just being in the military, right? I love the uniforms, the sense of belonging to something. And, going back to the story of not belonging to anything ever until I got to a certain age. Like I was lonely a lot, right? Yeah. And so I wanted that sense of camaraderie, right? The feeling of having somebody to just back you up. Yeah. And so like I saw in the military, and also I was just proud of the fact that I was the first generation American and everything my parents did to bring us here, right? And because of me, Aaliyah's here, because of my parents, right? And same with her mom's parents. And so I decided, you know what? I want to be in the military. Even when I was in junior high, I got a little picture I'll show you. I was in this thing called Cadet Corps, right? And and because I wanted to be, it was kind of like a pre-military little organization. So I was in that. I do parades.
Like space camp?
Yeah, like space camp, I tell you what. And so I do the little rifle marches and stuff. Yeah. I would do all the stuff. And so like I always wanted to be a part of that. So when I came here to visit her, after that crazy party that I told you about, you have to reference this episode called Sipping with Kid and Play on our podcast, and you'll get that story.
That's
of this wild house party.
Shout it out. Let them know where to find it.
Sipping Tea with Joey and Marie. Check out the podcast. The episode is called Sipping with Kid and Play. You'll hear the story of this wild house party that was just out of control. And because of that house party, I ended up getting kicked out of that house. I didn't even tell you that part. I got kicked out of the house.
We went so far into that.
I got kicked out of the house, and then my mom says, well, come over here and live with me, because I couldn't stay anywhere. Back I couldn't stay on my tias because she lived in the projects, and they're like, we can't have an extra person in the project. You know, mijo, they're gonna charge some rent. So, anyways, I went to Idaho, and I was like, dang, man. I'm like, and so my boy's like, you better not stay with her. It's like, nah, it's just a little
It's
transitional period.
temporary.
When I came here to Idaho, I got into a lot of fights, man. I got in trouble like a bunch of times to the point where I might have told you a story at Target. I was doing the landscaping at this Target in Twin Falls, and I was working for this dude temp, and the dude pissed me off, man. I can't remember what it was, but I hit him with the hoe. Yeah, I hit him with the hoe. I hit him with the hoe, and
as
I was
long
like,
as you didn't hit the hoe.
yeah, I hit the hoe with the hoe.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I was like scared because this was already like my 5th time I had gotten in a fight with somebody at one of these jobs. Because you know those temp jobs, it's like a day job.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was almost
And it's like nobody wants to do that job in the first place.
yeah.
So
And then this dude was like, I'm gonna call the cops on you, F you. You know, I took off. And so it was funny because the day before that, while I was, doing the landscaping, this dude in a car lowers the window. I was like, what's up? Because we're, from a big city. I was like, oh, damn, what's up, man? Somebody's going to do a drive-by. So I'm getting ready, right? And he's like, he goes, what's up, man? What are you doing? I was like, what's up? And then he pulls, you can see his little Cracker Jack outfit. And I was like, oh, what's up, man? Were you in the Navy or something? Cracker Jack ass look. And he says, yeah, man, see nothing wrong with the Navy. I was like, damn, bro, that's a silly ass fit, And he's like, nah, man, you should join the military, man. You don't want to be doing this. I was like, I got a job right now, bro. He goes, nah, man, you want to do this? Come talk to me, man. Here's my card. Gives me his card, and I was like, chale. So the next day that happened, I was like, I got to get the hell out of here. Because this guy told me that he'd get me out of here. Yeah. So I went into the military building, right? And in the military building, there's the Air Force, the Marines, the Navy, and
they got
Army.
all the branches.
Yeah. And so like the first thing I was attracted to was the outfits the Marines wear, because I was like, that looks badass, right? So I was like, walking, I'm joining Marines. So I'm knocking on the door and nada, right? Now it's like, nothing. And then next thing you know, a little door open goes, hey, I remember you. I was like, what's up, man? He goes, it's me, dude.
Oh, it's that dude?
Yeah, it's the Navy, bro. What's up? I was like, And he goes, what are you doing knocking on that door with us? I said, the Marines. He goes, forget that, man. They just want you to work. You come over here with us. And I was like, what the hell, man? What's up? And then he goes, hey, man, just painted a pretty picture and everything. And I was like, how soon can you get me out of here? He goes, are you in trouble? I was like, I don't know, but can you get me out of here? And he goes,
Yeah, how soon?
I could get you out of here in 2 weeks. And I said, all right, what do I got to do? So I filled out a bunch of stuff. I had to get some waivers for some things that needed to be expunged and stuff. And so he goes, you're out of here. So I left. And that's how I joined the military. And honestly, it was some of my proudest moments is to be in the military. I've told Leah about certain things that I would do and crazy stuff that would happen over there. You want to hear one crazy story?
Well, I want one crazy good story about the military.
Okay, I'll tell you one story. So, obviously, it's a bunch of dudes in one boat. Yeah. So, there's nothing but testosterone and machismo and everything that you can think of going on. So, we were very territorial. It's like being on the streets of Cali, right? Yeah. You go into this block, you're going to get jumped by these guys. You're going to get jumped by these guys. So you got to kind of walk the right path.
It's like high school and the
cliques.
Cliques.
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. And you get like beat down. Like you seriously get beat down. So there's 3 levels in this area where I'm at. Top level is supply. Middle is engineering. And us way at the bottom, operations. So operations... We're freaking some grimy mofos, dude. Yeah. We're like the bottom of the barrel. That's operations. We're the bottom. They're the postman's mates.
The ID8.
Yeah.
F. What?
They're BM1s.
IDGAF.
Hello, NOP.
I'm hip. I'm cool.
With the times.
I know. Aquí Macarena.
So here we are, operations, right? We're some grimy mofos, man. And so there's a guy who was in operations who got promoted, and he got to be in supply. So supply is up here. Engineers, they usually work like crazy hours because engineering. You'd never know when something's gonna go wrong. So most of these dudes are always sleeping when we're awake. So if you walk up that stairwell and you make some noise by engineering, chances are somebody from engineering is going to come out and say, shut the F up, Yeah. And so my boy was a loud mofo, dude. And he was always just joking, whatever, just talking smack. So he's coming down from supply, sliding down. Yeah. They're like, what's up, dude? Shut the hell up, man. Can you see we're starting to sleep? Man, F you guys. What's up? And so he freaking starts rolling down. They start freaking jumping him, right? He freaking rolls down the freaking stairwell. He slams into our door, opens it up. He's like, they're like grabbing him. He's like, ripping him almost out of the freaking the door.
Like he's in
and like, what's
horror
up,
movie.
dude? Yeah, what the hell's going on, man? This freaking fool over here acting crazy, man. Now F that. I go, hey, man, why you? That's our boy. He goes, he's not in operations no more, man. This is not your guys' business. This is supply, man. It's none of your business. I go, yeah. And then BM1, which is the guy that's one of our leaders, he goes, that's only been like 2 days ago. He's still one of ours, man. The paperwork's not even all the way through. Shit. And he says, come on, BM1. We don't got no beef, man. Let's just let us kick his ass. And he's like, nah, not gonna happen. And he says, oh, we're gonna take him. No, you're not.
Master Squirrel? He's like Master Squirrel in there?
Yeah. No, you're not. And he's like, yeah, we are. And then everybody starts going, boom, boom, boom. Everybody starts going like that. And he goes, all right, all you mofos. He goes, y'all see what's happening right here? Y'all better be out of your racks right now. And you better jump in on this or else I'm going to start freaking taking people off racks. And then these guys are like, what? And the engineer guys, and then they kind of slowly let him out. He's just like, he starts back. Yeah, he's like, what's up? And he's like, and they look at us, if somebody looks at him, and then this dude just goes, boom, throws first punch, boom, another one, we freaking drag like 3 dudes, then all those dudes start rolling down from that engineering, it starts bleeding into our freaking birthing area, it's called, right? So it's just like, boom, 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 because there's 2 stairwells, right? Boom, 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 dude starts popping up, and so I'm over here like, boss, just hitting dudes, just, like, I don't even know who, I think
everybody's throwing gatos?
Yeah, so everybody's throwing gatos, right? Boom, 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 and BM1's going like, wake up, motherfuckers, and so he's like, opens the little freaking curtain, drags one dude out, get your ass down, boom, drops this dude down, dude's like, gets up, boom, boom, starts, I'm sorry, I'm over here getting too crazy. So this dude starts
dude,
freaking.
He's punching the microphone.
Yeah, I'm punching the microphone. Hey, mother, dog,
sounds good, 12 rounds, that's it. Órale.
Yeah, so I'm over here like going, oh, dang, so we're just freaking hitting dudes. And so I had some boys that were engineering. Yeah. I knew some dudes that were engineering. So one of my boys rolls down right here by, we call it the scuttle bucket. It's the water fountain, right? The old school water fountains. So he pops up like that, and I'm socking dudes, man. Just going, boo, 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 just hitting dudes. I'm like, let's go, And so while I'm doing that, it starts bleeding more people, and there comes my boy. We look at each other, eye to eye, and I was like, so I look at him, and he looks at me. We kind of now we're like, hey, we got to do this, man. this is my crew. This is your crew. We got to do this. And he's like, all right. So I'm like, boom, just hit him, right? And then he freaking hits me back, boom. And then another one of my boys sees him and freaking goes, boss, right in his side. And he just freaking buckles to the ground, right? He buckles to the ground. And while he's buckled to the ground, he's kind of like in all fours, kind of like this. So I'm like, and then BM1 looks at me and goes, you better hit him. And I go, like he's on the ground. He goes, you better hit him, man. He goes, I'm not going to hit you. I'm like, and I go, sorry, bro. Carlos right in the freaking wrist. I hit him so hard, I smushed him into the scuttle bucket, right? And we ripped it out of its freaking pipes, And then everybody hitting him, dude. And it was wild. I mean, it was melee, dude. There's people punching everywhere, punches. Then this big old dude, I swear this guy looked like the size of Green Mile. What's Michael Clark Duncan? Yeah. He was the size of that dude. Looked like him, bald dude. He's in operations. So while all the engineers are coming this way, he's like freaking just pushing around. One of the guys, a little guy, comes this way and he grabs him. I mean, he literally grabs this dude, one arm, one leg, and goes like this. Boom! Just throws him at him. And I was like, what the?
Picked his ass up.
Yeah. Picked him up like a rag doll. It just slammed him into the crowd of other sailors. And like it was like
dominoes.
Yeah, it was like dominoes and bowling alley, whatever. And I was like, boom, boom, boom. Everybody falls on the ground. And they're just like, boom, boom. Everybody's throwing dukes. And then my other boy, Garza, he's in the armory, right? He works in the armory. So he does the shore patrol type of thing. So he's on the ship and he hears this crazy. So he comes down. He's another big dude, right? He's a big guy like the other guy, right? And so he says, y'all need to calm the F down or else I'm going to start throwing a bunch of you on the brig. And that's the jail inside the thing. And then everybody's like, what? And he's just like, boom, just hits some dudes. Boom, hits some dudes. Then starts slamming. So both of these guys are just throwing these people around like a wave.
Damn.
You know, and then he says, that's it. If y'all don't stop right now, I'm starting arresting people right now. And so everybody's like, you know, everybody starts calming down. You know, everybody's helping each other. My boy's still over there kind of half like chueco.
Todo torcido.
I was like,
What happened?
yeah, he's still going like, you know, he's all hurt and stuff. And so I'm like, hey, bro, I'm sorry. He goes, it's all good, man. I get it. It's like, so they get him, so they get all their wounded and they freaking drag him back up. And that was it. But let me tell you, this isn't the only time this would happen. There was stuff like in Thailand, like I got way too many stories of this stuff that it was like in the movies. You know how they show sailors just throw dukes for no apparent reason?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, man, like, where's the freaking authority here? You know what I'm saying?
It takes
like,
a while for authority to stop a freaking, a grip load of dudes.
like
Yeah,
a
rumble.
yeah.
It's really hard. Some dudes get arrested, some don't. But it's like a riot. It's like a riot, dude. So like it's wild out there, dude. And you know what? But I was already to that level of like, you know, like tough, man. Somebody hits me, whatever, dude. Like I get hit, I get back up.
Yeah.
What's up? Unless I'm straight up knocked out, which thank God I didn't get knocked out until I was like, gosh, and you know, way in my 20s, you know, or late 20s. But I had never felt that, so I knew I was to get hit, but not to get.
You didn't have the fear of getting knocked out.
So I was like, I'm not gonna get knocked out.
Ain't nobody can knock me yet.
Yeah, ain't nobody gonna knock me down. Are you trying to knock him down? Knock me down. You know,
We're from Cali, we don't get knocked out.
So that's how that you know there was that. But like I said, there's a lot of stories we could be talking about my military antics for like a whole episode. You know.
Yeah, it's cool, man. So like, and like, all those things that you've been through, I know play a big part of like on how you give back to the community and stuff. And you know, it's the Toys for Tots thing. You do Stuff the Bus, Coats for Kids, all those things, man. And like the way we grew up, man, you know, it's cool, man, to be able to, you know, give back like that and see you give back like that too, man. And I know you have an event coming up, and maybe you could just talk a little bit about that. You know, your
Hip Hop Holiday, the 11th one. Aaliyah Marie has been helping me with these for a long time. You've helped me in Stuff the Bus like since you were a little kid.
Yeah, like probably like nearly half my life of doing that.
She's been doing that. That's why Aaliyah Marie is the same way. She gives back a lot to the community and stuff. And when it comes to stuff like that, I love to see my children that they follow along with that, right? Because they know how it is. We've had some times when it's been tough.
It's one of those things, and like that's what I tell people. Like I've honestly genuinely loved growing up here in the Magic Valley because of that community involvement. Because I mean, like we've had rough times, you know, growing up and stuff like that, but it was always that reminder of some other people have it 10 times harder than you. Yeah. And so just acknowledging and being there for people, and just whether it's saying hi or asking questions about them and stuff like that, it goes a long ways. And so whether it was Stuff the Bus or a Hip Hop Holiday, it was something like naturally instinct for all the kids as us. It's like we wanted to help. It wasn't like our parents were forcing us to do community support. Yeah. It's just one of those big things. And so like now, like with my own career itself, like I continue to do that. And working for the College of Southern Idaho, like I meet with so many people on a day-to-day basis, but just being there for them, because, you know, they are having a lot harder, and just appreciating what you have, and whether it's something small or super big. So we've never been even materialistic. It's all about being there for each other.
Exactly.
And watching you grow up, Aaliyah, like I remember like you've always been like an artist at heart, and always been like a person just like your dad, you know. And it's really cool to see you guys too with your podcast. And from the very first time that I saw or I heard you guys, I was like, dynamic duo, by the way, you know what I'm saying?
It was so fun, because when we had our morning show, like that was such a big step for me, because I just wasn't as social as I am now. Like it took a lot of work to get to where I was at. But that was something that my dad like threw me in. It wasn't like you're like you want to do it. It's like you're going to do it. Like, and that's kind of everything. But it was so nice. And after the morning show, because you know we both took bigger roles in our own personal lives. And so when we decided to do the podcast, I mean we've had it for about over a year now, and just the amount of work that we've put into it and the outcomes with it, like I trip out with it, because it's not. I never would imagine myself in this podcast and what we've done. I mean, we've had like some of the biggest sponsors like McDonald's and Cheese Spot and Infinity. But also it's like a big shout out to Rita, who's in charge of the Latina podcasters.
We need to get you on that too.
She honestly just created this big pathway for us as, you know, Hispanics, and just pushing that anything is possible. And I think we've had that conversation with, you know, growing up here in Idaho, I've never had a lot of Hispanic friends. I mean, I didn't have a Hispanic friend until I was like in middle school. And so I was like a no salvo kid just because
we multiply.
We multiply.
We don't die.
We multiply. But in that situation, like I never had to speak Spanish or anything like that because I just never had that environment. And so with our podcast and stuff, like it's really channeling our inner roots to being Hispanic and appreciating what we have. And then it's just that community give back, and especially with Hip Hop Holiday. I mean, that's been going on for, you know, nearly half my life, and just seeing
11 years.
Yeah, 11 years.
I mean, it would have been 12 years if it wasn't for 2020, which we're going to forget that even happened.
We're pretend pandemic didn't happen. But just seeing, I mean, I grew up with all you guys and seeing just from beginning to end of what that was like. And it's just so cool 11 years down the road that we're able to continue doing this.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to work with all of us, because, you know, you as well as Christian, and a lot of us have been involved in Hip Hop Holiday one way or another throughout the years. And so to be able to do a whole, like a decade, and now over a decade of creating this charity concert, it's a beautiful thing. And to be able to team up with a cool charity like Sleep in Heavenly Peace, which they build beds for kids who don't have beds, because
just like how you were.
Just like me, and so that's why to me it really connected with me when I heard about this place building beds for kids who don't have them, and so when they told me about it, I was like, hey, I want to meet the guy who does this, and the guy actually he's been featured on CNN Heroes and all this and that. Nice. But I wanted to meet him. So when I met him, and this was before he started getting, you know, all this crazy exposure, right? And I was like, I want to help, man. Whatever I can do, I want to help, because I want to give beds to these kids, because I know what it is to not have a bed. And it's like, let's do this, man. So we got together with him, with Sleep in Heavenly Peace. And now what we do is we collect food, toys, and like sheets and bedding for the beds. And so what we do is we go and we build beds for them. We help them raise money too. We build the beds. We get the people through their venting process or whatever. And so then we go to the families, and then we build the beds and stuff. And then Mike Ill and I, we go and we grab like a big bag of all the toys and stuff, and we give it to the parents.
Mike Ill?
Michael. And so he
you may have heard of him.
Is that a real guy?
He's been banned on Facebook multiple times.
And so
he's been banned on Instagram before.
Kind of, et cetera.
Have you ever been banned on Instagram?
But no, we give them this bag of toys. But the thing to me is that I love the most is that, like, we say, hey, we take the parents to the side, and we don't present it to them in front of the kids, because this is our point. My point is not to take the accolades or the credit for the stuff. My point is to give it to somebody who needs it. So what we do is we take the parents and we're like, hey, we got this bed for you, we built it and everything, but we also got a bag of toys, and we got some food cards and stuff, and that way you could have a good Christmas dinner, and you can have these toys. I go, you could do whatever you want with these toys. Now you could say they're from you could say they're from Santa Claus, you could say whatever. You don't have to say they're from us. I really don't need the credit. I just, you know, I want you to do it for whatever reasons you want to do it. And it's a beautiful thing, because I've been there on that other side of the spectrum to get toys from like Salvation Army and stuff like that, and to open one present a year, because that's
all you can get.
That's what we would get. And it was so fun to open something. It didn't matter what it was, but to get it open and stuff. And then not only to have a bed at the same time, like that's a double whammy. So I know the feeling it is, right? To feel that, to see that, man. And it's just freaking, it's such a beautiful feeling. Like, I just want to be able to give back that what has been given to me, you know? And I've said this story at a previous podcast, but I mean, it was hard for me to tell at the beginning, but now, you know, I could say it now. But when I was 11, I got my first bed. So I got my first bed. It was a little cot, one of those little unfoldable cots. Mm-hmm. So it was given to me, or I was supposed to use it actually during the duration while my uncle was going to move back with us. So my uncle was going to move with us to live with us, but he was going to go back to where he was from to go do some stuff. And then and he says, hey, you could borrow this bed while I'm gone. So anyways, that was the first bed I got for that moment. But unfortunately, when he left, he was murdered. And the thing about my uncle, he was a very helpful person. So he wanted to help people and stuff too. And he gave a ride to these guys to Orange Field to get him a job. And these guys set him up with this other guy that murdered him. And so he never came back, right? So then I was left with this cot. So I had this cot, and I was like, I don't even want this no more. Like, I was like, I'd rather have my uncle back, you know, than have this cot. Like, I felt like I traded the cot for him. So I really felt really weird. Even for a little bit longer, I didn't sleep on it. I sleep on the ground still and have the cot just laying there. And so, like, it was really rough for me to, like, accept that I was given something good, you know? And I was like, nah, I'm good. And I didn't sleep in another bed for another year. I had to get used to it again. But ever since then, it was like I thought, man, it'd be cool to have a bed. So anyways, fast forward to now, the very first time I delivered a bed and I was putting it together for this kid. There was nothing there. And there was like 4 kids sleeping in one room, right? And then I looked over here on the side, and there was like these blankets and stuff on top of this. And I go, what's that? And they're like, oh, that's where the 2 boys sleep and this. And I took off the blankets, and it was a cot, bro. Oh man! And like I said, it was really tough because obviously the first time I told that story, it was really hard to even say the story because like I burst out in tears, right? And I'm like, everything's a sign, right? We see these little things that come to us, and they're little signs, right? We gotta see the little things that life gives us, right? And says you're going on the right path, man. You're right there on the right path. And so like these things are the things that drive me, the driving force, right? The hardships, I'm not saying that everybody should go through a hardship because you don't want to go through this hardship.
But it's those reminders, just for that like particular example, it's like that reminder of you were going through a hardship at that time. But years down the road, this is where your life is at.
And sometimes I feel, and I've said, and I think we've had this conversation before, MAG, it's like, I think like us as creatives and people that want to create something positive and kind of uplift people, it's almost like I feel like we're purposely put in situations when we're in the dark, just so we could find ourselves our way back into the light, right?
For sure.
And so we can help people through that experience to help them get out of the darkness and come back to the light. And I think that's why we spend so much time in the darkness, because we, God, you know, the energies above know that we can take this, right? And so they're like, this is the guy that's gonna help. I mean, I don't want to sound narcissistic or anything like that. I'm just saying that if I have to spend some time in the darkness just to help others to see the light, man, I'm more than happy to. Although it hurts. It hurts, man. Yeah. Like, it hurts right now, like talking about certain things, you know? But I know that I'm there for a reason, right? And I'm going to make whatever it is, you know, like when life gives you lemons thing, you know? Got to make that lemonade, right?
Should have shot at tequila.
Shot at tequila too.
How does it go?
So yeah, I gotta. So we gotta find those ways, right? And so that's the same thing that I like to instill in my daughter and my other children. And I tell them, look, man, you guys don't understand how hard life can be, but I tell you what, man, once you overcome these obstacles and these things that life throws at you, and always tries to hold you down, you don't worry about that, man. Everything, and I told you this, you and I have the longest conversations about this. It's like, nah, man, just because we failed at this, it doesn't mean we failed. It just means we were given another lesson, right? Mm-hmm. To add to our toolbox of stuff. So like, nothing is a failure unless you don't ever try. If you don't try, then it is a failure.
Yeah.
But if you tried and you did it and you failed, then it's a lesson. It's not a failure.
Yeah.
So don't take those things as failures. They're life lessons, and they're gonna help us move to the next level. It's like playing a video game. You lose on it, you lose until you finally pass that level and you get to the next level. Sure. You know, that's what life's about, bro. You know?
Yeah, man. You know what, man? You know, wrapping up this episode, man, I couldn't ask for a better first guest on the show, man. And your story is truly a story of 12 rounds and what this represents. And on behalf of my business partner, Navarro, I want to say thanks to you guys for coming through. But before we wrap it up, man, I want you guys just to let us know what's next for you guys. What do you guys got coming up? And
yeah, see, I'm the one. It's like PR for Sipping Tea with Joey and Marie. I mean, we have a lot of. Right now, we're currently in season 4. Which is really crazy for us to realize that we're that so far in to season 4.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank
you. And like, honestly, it's still like we talk about every week, but this past few weeks, we got chosen to be on the new and noteworthy on Apple Podcast.
Awesome.
And shout out to Rita because she
That blew up. I'm gonna tell you how much that blew up. Our downloads were just like
crazy.
What?
And so with
Feel
that,
like big.
we are trying different things for this, even with this season and next season, but really pushing musical guests and bringing just a variety of people. I mean, we've definitely been blessed with the amount of guests we've had on our show.
We're gonna have Christian on our show.
Yeah, we're gonna have Christian,
that
and
dude
especially
can sing lemonade,
refreshing
drink.
especially with hip hop holiday coming.
Oh, you a singer?
Right.
Sing.
Especially with hip hop holiday coming up, we're gonna hopefully, have some really cool guests and maybe do some freestyles. They will do it. I won't. Please do not expect me to do it.
Let's see.
I didn't get that
Put yourself out
skills
there.
growing up, so I always tell everyone that was not the skill I was provided from my dad, and not to take care of plants by my mother.
Oh, but
so.
she can dance. I remember the dance
If you want
moves.
to, they can wave your world
Leah
behind.
is a dancer.
Remember that when she would dance on that trailer? She did a whole choreography.
Yeah, but hey, instead of I was doing that than anything else, so
that was
I was
awesome.
not on the streets, so I
Yeah.
was dancing on a trailer,
On the trailer, at
Soldier
least.
Boy. So nothing crazy, but yeah, like we're gonna have some awesome guests here in the next few episodes, and just really continue taking it away, like seeing where it goes with us. So.
Yeah, make sure you follow us Sippin' Tea with Joey and Marie. Also Joey Bravo 208.
And
or-
Aaliyah Marie 208.
I do want to leave with this one little thing though. This one little gem that I think of. Remember going back to the times when I used to, live by the river in the trailer. Because I lived in a van by the trailer by the river.
You want to live in a van?
I didn't know how to swim, and my stepdad says, "You need to learn how to swim." I go, "I don't know how to swim," and he says, "Look, man, just jump in the water, and if you start drowning, I'll freaking save you." And so he did this a few times, right? So one day he's across the river, and I'm on this side of the river, and so I'm gonna have to walk like a while down the river just to get to him, right? And he says, "Well, you can walk way over there, or you can just swim over." I go, "But if I don't make it," he goes, "Whatever." So he just ignores me, right? He's doing his thing. And I think to myself in my mind, I go like, you know what? He's right. I'm gonna swim across this river. And if anything, like if I start drowning, I'm sure he'll see. And my mind is not working right because I thought to myself, he's not paying attention. Now that I think in retrospect.
Sure he'll see.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll see. In retrospect, the guy wasn't even watching me, right? And I was like, I'm gonna make it across. I'm gonna make it. And so I jump in the water, start going. And I'm just like, in my mind going like, am I even moving? I wasn't even sure if I was moving. Yeah, no, because I was, doing this. I was going,
You see just a child like flapping
Yeah,
very
am I
aggressively in the
gonna
same
make it?
In
spot.
his mind, he's all,
Yeah.
in reality, he's all,
yeah. So I'm doing this across the river. And next thing you know, I'm all, boom, hit my head real hard. I'm like, ah, I thought I swam, straight down and hit the ground. I look up and I'm like, I'm on the other side of the river. I'm on the other side of the river, and I'm like, I'm on the side of the river. I tell Jose's like, he just says that. That's it. He didn't even congratulate me, and I was
Acknowledge what you
was
just
like,
did.
dang, I just did something. I just did something dope, man. Like, no, he didn't even see it,
Dude, that's Mexican zone,
He
man.
didn't even care. So the thing is that it's always
He's like, I'll get you a you ain't shit balloon.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what I was telling you is that lesson to me is this, man. I always do things because I want to do them and because I know I can do them and because I feel that my family's going to see what I do and they're going to follow through and it's going to inspire them to do it, right? But I don't do it for the accolades or for somebody to pat me on the back or for say this. I do it because I do it for the people that I love, right? And obviously I love my stepdad and I want to get it across to go see him, right? So I went there and I worked for it and I made sure I got to the other side just so I could show him and just so I could make him proud, right? And to me, that's what it's about, man, my family. I love my family and I'm going to just make them proud. And that's it. That's why we do it, right? I love my kids. I love you, man. You're my brother, dude.
Much love, dude.
And this right here is an honor to be here. Christian, thank you, bro. And have my little girl here.
I'm
Don't
like,
make me cry. Don't make me cry.
that's okay.
But that's why
I'm a
we do it.
crybaby, so I
All right?
cry for anything.
Yeah.
I'll cry like on a Disney movie. Like they'll just shake hands, and I'm like,
Hey, but before we leave, you all got to move at the speed of opportunity. Opportunity doesn't come just right then and there, like whenever you're ready for it. It comes when it comes, and that's when you got to move. Move at the speed of opportunity.
Yeah. Till next time, y'all.